I hope that you can still see me and still hear me. I'm here in my hotel room, unfortunately, but I hope the internet will not leave me here. Let me introduce, because Tomasz was already introduced, but let me introduce Tomasz once again. Tomasz Blicharski is the managing director of Żabka Future, and we're going to discuss today very, very interesting subject, not only about autonomous stores, but the whole concept of Żabka, Żabka Future. So let's jump to the main subject of this meeting. Tomasz, majority of Poles recognize Żabka as we all know. This is one of the biggest convenience store in Poland, probably in Europe as well, right? Correct me if I'm wrong. With over 7,500 stores, but at the beginning of this year, you created Żabka Future, which is probably not so well known neither for Polish audience, but not only Polish audience. So can you a little bit more tell us a little bit more and just elaborate a little bit more about Żabka Future? What is it, and why did you set it up?
Yeah. Good afternoon, Olga. Good afternoon, everyone on the stage or via online. First of all, before I answer your question, let me apologize myself for not my top shape today. Unfortunately, the infection period is striking hard again, and generally my voice is not at the top, and my energy level neither. So, in advance, I'd like to apologize to everyone for that. Now, to the topic of Żabka Future, indeed, we at Żabka are very well known for our convenience chain, close to 8,000 stores in Poland. We're one of the largest companies and one of the largest, most dynamic big companies in Poland and in region. From the convenience standpoint, we're the largest convenience retailer in Europe, I think, for the number, at least for looking at the number of stores. And indeed, we have fought hard on how we want to grow our business going forward. And on top of what we have been doing fantastically in the last 20 years, we have thought that looking at the longer term horizon, 10 to 20-year horizon, it makes sense to actually be innovative and look beyond the I would say traditional convenience retail that we have been focusing on in the last years. Now that's something that has manifested in the change the way we run our business only this year, but this philosophy of running the company has been with us for the last several years already. We have started digital transformation several years ago. We have started to use data and AI, create AI teams and AI algorithms that we run on a daily basis inside our company. And now we thought that we need to emphasize that trend and make the relevant changes. What Żabka Future does, and that's the key goal, is to develop the Żabka group and innovate in different directions, looking at the longer term horizon. So we invest in startups. We build the startups inside the corporation, sometimes with external teams. We have a mandate to acquire companies as well in areas, in verticals which are relevant to us, and we generally develop the technology and AI for the entire group. So that's in a nutshell what Żabka Future does. So look beyond the horizon and try to anticipate certain trends and invest in certain areas so that overall in the longer term Żabka Group can remain be successful.
Okay, and there is a lot of press recently about Żabka Future, Żabka Nano, startup Lita e-commerce. Can you just decode those let's say projects or names for us? Just elaborate a a little bit more for us to understand
Yeah,
what's the
sure.
differences between them.
Yeah, look, we, within the ecosystem that we're building, we're testing and building different businesses. And these businesses, these are the names effectively. We have, and maybe to be more prescriptive, we have acquired, together with the founders of these businesses, two businesses earlier this year. They're active in direct to consumer and marketplace related to direct to consumer ready meals, so dietary catering. These are Mashfeed and Dietly. These are very fantastically run, very dynamic young companies which serve hundreds and thousands of customers. And so that's on one hand. Secondly, we have been developing the nano stores, so the autonomous stores, so without checkout, without physical checkout process. These are called Żabka Nano or Żabka Store. And we're building and rolling out the chain of unmanned stores as a secondary format beyond beside the regular Żabkas. Finally, together with the management team that we have brought in from outside of the company, we created a startup called Light E-commerce. And this Light E-commerce actually just today releases its first product to public service, a quick commerce service, 15-minute delivery of grocery products based on dark stores, named Już. So Żabka Już is the name of it, and actually today is going to be the start of that business, at least following friends and family tests. Will start to the public in Warsaw. There are many other things that we're working on that are not yet public. We look at things, at the long term. We, depending on the vertical, depending on the situation, we either build it with the managers inside the company, with the external managers. We invest to acquire companies or invest in startups. We have invested in a few startups already.
Maybe before we will just go through this diversification, because I was even surprised when we discussed it before that you are trying to be very diversified here. I would like to stop a little bit on this autonomous stores and everything what you're doing here. We all know that in pandemic, during pandemic, the customer behaviors changed, and we know that from one side, consumers decided to buy less often and buy more stuff. We all probably remember how we were, stuffing ourselves with rice, pasta, and toilet paper. So this is one of the trends, coming less often to the stores but buying more. But the second one is the impulse shopping, right? So how does those, changed behaviors, customer behaviors, how does that influence the decision regarding the development of Żabka entire business? And what kind of consumer needs do you really want to meet?
Yeah, that's a very good question, Olga. First of all, I think none of the things that we have now released have effectively been released because of pandemics specifically. I think what pandemics did is accelerated certain trends to a large extent, right? So adoption of online has been accelerated by the pandemics, but the trend was already there, right? Depending on the vertical, more or less prevailing. What maybe the change that is happening is purely related to the way we live as people, as human beings. You're in a hotel, but I'm at home, right? So I'm not in the office today. Well, I'm sick, but also, we as professionals, we have largely changed the way we work. We are more stationary. We're at home more of the time, and we work from home more than what was in the past. And obviously that affects with the way we consume, right? We consume at home. We are less mobile, and there are many different indices that indicate that the traffic on the street hasn't come back to the levels was prior to pandemics, and the reason behind it is simple, that people are just more stationary, and that impacts the way we consume, as I said, the way we shop, and that is that is changing the dynamics of the consumer. But I would say it hasn't really changed the way we look at the development per se, right? The autonomous stores is something that we've been working on actually for more than 3 years. We have tested it internally. We have developed this internally for a long period of time. The technology wasn't really there yet, but once the technology progressed, we decided to go live to public earlier this year. And that's one of the trends. The online trend, I mean, is something that I've been working on for a bit of time as well. And there are other things that we're working, which generally we look at our business in a very long time frame, right? We're here for Żabka to be successful now, in 10 years, in 20 years, and whatever we start now will have potentially a big positive impact in 10 years from now. That's something that's the philosophy of how we do business.
Okay, I just read Żabka's mission, which is we create value by simplifying people's lives. So can we just elaborate or just discuss a little bit more about those autonomous stores? If you can just explain to the audience how that's going to work, because it's going to be really like avoiding the cash desk, cashiers, unpacking and packing in a store. Can you just elaborate a little bit more? Because you are just testing it right now and it works, right?
Yeah, no, we started. We have first 4 stores. We're continuing the test development of these stores. These are, we're all here, in the startup community. So this is like MVP for us, right? So in a way, it's not the final product is the MVP product, but the underlying kind of baseline philosophy is that you as a customer just go into the store using an app, using Blik or Apple Pay in the future, or Google Pay, or whatever payment method. So you identify yourself on entrance. Then you just pick up a product or products, and then you leave, right? Without any hustle. You just leave, and then everything is settled automatically with you. And that's the underlying kind of idea behind the store. These stores are small. They in a way, the commercial idea is that these are like your extended fridge, right? You may find it in different places, also inside the buildings in the future. So I can think about office buildings or schools or hospitals or some other places have like a store like this in the inside, where as well on a street that you can see currently. So that's the baseline idea. It's not to kind of replace the existing Żabka stores, is to complement it in the professionals in retail sell catchment areas where it makes most sense. And we see very positive first feedbacks from the customers. The NPS is at a record high level for any store, actually. So people like this way of shopping. Of course, it's not for everyone. We see that it's mostly for younger people that use it. But generally, we see a good traction, and we progress with the development of the format and rolling out additional stores. So by the end of the year, we should have 30 stores like that, and we'll continue these tests and the development as it progresses in line with our expectations.
Yeah, I agree that these are the stores where I can do the shopping when I want, not when the store is open, right? So I can come there at night and just simply buy what I urgently need. So this is, as you just said, a little bit like my fridge. So I can go there, immediately buy something and done. But you are also developing in the cities dark stores. Can Can you just explain? Because this is probably related to the trend of the Q-commerce, when people just want to have stuff here and now, or this is just about the online shopping. Can you just elaborate a little bit?
Yeah, I mentioned that we are just launching today. The startup that is within Żabka Group, Light E-commerce, is launching the first product that they've created over the last period of time, called Już. So this would be, you have your mobile app, you click tap within 2 or 3 taps maximum, so it's very convenient, very fast. You order your goods, and these goods are delivered wherever you are, not only at home, but wherever you want to be, within, let's say, thereabouts 15 minutes, right? And the idea behind it is it's one, it fits into the global trend of Q-commerce, right? So it's not something that we have invented. It's already in work. So there are services like this. We have actually first projects of that kind of service we've put together back in 2000. I think it was still in 2015. That would have been ahead of the time, but we did not decide to progress at that time. But we came back to it, and we have been developing it for a while now. And the underlying consumer trend is I want something quick. I want something now, right? I wanna have my needs fulfilled immediately with minimal effort, and we believe that there will be a niche for that kind of mission from the consumer standpoint, and there's going to be there's going to be need for that kind of service. The way this is conduced is through dark stores, as you mentioned. Dark stores, these are warehouses, which are small warehouses, which are conveniently located inside of the city, and they connect with the existing logistic infrastructure of Żabka, which we deliver to 7,000 stores on a daily basis. So we effectively have very efficient logistics. So it's for us relatively easy to connect these kind of warehouses to our logistics, and effectively, where from these logistics you have couriers who deliver products to the customers at a very short time frame. I think that these are early days for the business of like this generally globally. Nobody is making money on that other than Get here in Istanbul. But for sure the customer demand is there. We believe that with the scale of Żabka, we have so many competitive advantages vis-a-vis the independent startups that matter of fact, is only from our perspective a matter of time once this consolidates, and we will continue to invest in that service. We'll see how generally was the adoption and how the business model evolves. But overall, it's an interesting trend that we're backing.
Yeah, as mentioned, it's very hard to probably right now earn money on that. So let's talk about the trends, because we all know that e-commerce is growing. We know that 86% of Poles during pandemic are buying via internet. We know that 56% of Poles are buying more often than they bought before. But we also know that, especially in the food retail, this online shopping is not so, let's say, it is fast growing, but not as fast growing as, for example, in fashion or in healthcare or in cosmetics. Can you just tell us a little bit more about those trends? Which trend do you think that will develop e-commerce fast the most, especially in the grocery?
Yeah, look, historically, grocery vertical in e-commerce was, I would say, one of the least developed of all the verticals, right? So it was, penetration of online in grocery was lower than some other kind of other verticals, right? Now, yeah. I think the growth rates at the moment are not lower than other online effectively verticals. They might actually even be faster. This is due to the fact that there is what I would say a disruption happening within the grocery e-commerce vertical. 20 years ago, when grocery e-commerce started, the business model was was relatively, fixed, and it effectively, what it meant, what it means, and what I'm trying to say here is that, it was not very convenient. You were, as a customer, you were ordering online, and the goods arrived at your home a few days later, typically, right? There was this process which was based on a very sophisticated, sometimes automated infrastructure that was happening in the back. But from the customer's perspective, this process, took a long time. What it also requires from the customer is a relatively big buying basket. For in Western Europe or in the US, that was 50, 80, 100 whatever euros, dollars, or pounds, or even more. In zlotys, it was a few hundred zloty basket that was required. And generally, especially in Poland, the customers not all the customers, let's put it this way, or a lot of customers don't shop this way traditionally. So the customers in Poland, they go to stores frequently, even if it's maybe much more frequently than some other markets, and the shopping is relatively smaller. And especially for a Polish consumer, that was a barrier, right, in my view, to switch. That it required, I would say, several different aspects of their shopping habits to change at the same time. Now, what's happening now generally, and it's not only Q-commerce, but it's because Q-commerce is just the latest manifestation, but over several years, what's happening is effectively, that this e-grocery is changing and evolving, and this change relatively entails, shorter time between ordering and delivery. The quality of service is increased, so the quality of fresh product is increased.
Yeah.
And generally, there is, especially with younger generations, there is more adoption for buying fresh food online. Historically, you had these grocery players, and they were just selling bottled water and some chemicals, right? So stuff that typically is standardized, right? It's packaged good. Over the last years, what's changing is that people have effectively their propensity to buy a product has significantly increased. So, I mean, these trends are evolving, and the Q-commerce is the latest manifestation of these trends. But the market is very young still, right? Overall, the e-grocery market in globally, right? It's relatively young.
Yeah,
younger
it's
than
about
some other verticals. Let's see how it's going to evolve in the future.
Yeah. Okay. So I was just interested in how do you think how fast it will grow? I mean, what will be the adoption? How fast it will be? We know that the share of online shopping in France is about 12%, in UK 13%, in Poland it's about probably between 3 to 5%. So how do you think how fast it's going to develop?
Look, it's a very good question, but also difficult to answer. Generally in all the growth models, you see something which is called S-curve, right? So you have a slow growth relatively, and then you have a significant acceleration of adoption, and then slowing growth again, right? The question is where are we on that curve now, right? With grocery e-commerce, and it's difficult to say, right? But for sure, pandemics in many jurisdictions, Western Europe, US, have moved that growth in grocery e-commerce to, I would say, this faster slope of S, right? So the growth has significantly accelerated, and we see adoption increase.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Because we are here in a very startup area, I would like to ask you about the path which Żabka went through. the whole transformation which you just did to get where you are today, because it's, we as Poles know where the Żabka was, and we know that you are changing, and you are really one of the most innovative and most observed by people and as well companies. So if you can just share with us, especially that this is a very startup audience, any success stories or anything you can share about this path of transformation which the Żabka went through.
Well, corporate innovation is a difficult thing, right? I mean, you have a lot of kind of examples of failures. The reason why it's difficult to innovate in a corporate world is because once you have a business that, and there is an American expression for that, when the dogs are eating the dog food. So effectively, that the customer traction is already there. What you typically want to do is effectively increase the efficiency of that business. And to increase the efficiency of that business that is on the path of, of the growth and is successful already, is through introduction of processes, which effectively make it more efficient. And these processes effectively they contract with innovation, right? So so therefore, and I'm alumni of Stanford Business School, and that's so what effectively the theory of management in the West Coast of the US have worked on and effectively distilled from that is that mature organizations need to be ambidextrous. So they need to be effectively, on one hand, very good in execution and effectively efficient. And on the other hand, they need to be innovative. And the way to achieve it is through separation. So creating business units, which would have different goals and different type of incentives and structure. And that's how we did it, right? We experimented with different setups in the past. I mean, not all of them have successfully worked out, but we believe the way we approach it now is something that have a great chance to succeed in the longer term, right? So separation of that, working from the common culture, from the common set of I would say backbone, right? So that you leverage the efficiencies, you leverage the assets of the organization, but in slightly different way and through different teams. And so in a way we operate as a big VC fund, I would say venture studio VC fund combined in one thing, an M&A factory that we have. And we create or we acquire businesses or we invest in businesses that we think make most sense. We integrate them fully within the stores. We let them progress in a way that to maximize the success. And so far, I have to say that this approach has been very positive and working well, right?
So what I hear is where focus goes, energy flows. Means just create a separate company like you did with Żabka Future. No, let's say side synergies. Just focus. Let the people focus on the work, and then the work can be done, and you can be innovative, right? That's what I hear.
Yes. But with the caveat that we need to make sure that we utilize the assets, we utilize whatever the motherhood has effectively developed to the maximum to effectively increase the chances of success.
Quite a while before, I interrupted you when you started to tell us a little bit more about those startups you're investing in, because I was even surprised when you told me when we had a previous conversation, is that you investing in startups in Poland, but not only in Poland, that you are pretty much diversifying your interest in Żabka Future. Can you just explain and elaborate a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, where it makes a lot of sense from business perspective, so not the financial perspective, but business perspective, and we see the benefits for both organizations. we invest and we take minority positions, like typical to a VC fund, in startups. We do it not only in Poland, we have done it in the US as well. So we invested in startup in the Bay Area as well. That was already a few years ago, which has been developing very nicely. But also in Poland, also in some other countries, looked at things in Israel, etc. And we believe, I don't at this particular moment, the reason why we want to do it is that we effectively see that a particular startup has technology or I would say a business which is interesting for for the future of the group, and we on the other hand can help the startup to incubate or to grow the technology or to effectively make it successful within by being the customer, and we want to strengthen that relationship through the investment. And so far, I mean, with the investment that we've made, the partnerships we've built with these startups, that has been a phenomenal success for us, and we want to continue work on that basis.
Okay. So you're also taking part in acceleration programs, right? So if you can just tell a little bit more, what kind of accelerations programs? So the startups which are watching us right now can eventually be aware if, for example, they are working on something which could be very interesting for you from the perspective of Żabka Future.
Yeah, look, I mean, I think there are three buckets that of different, I would say, verticals which are interesting for us. One is stuff related with data and AI. I mean, that we believe that data and AI is actually one of the biggest fundamentals of a successful company, and we want to be innovative there, and we want to use the latest possible technology, also develop our own algorithms. We also do many different things there. So a startup that is dealing with data and AI and is innovative in that aspect is something that is interesting for us from the acceleration standpoint. We have plenty of data inside the company. We have 2.5 million customers on a daily basis, right? And we have billions of events that we are tracking. The second one is around, I'd say, software platforms and core technologies which we use, right? So we use different software platforms, different systems to be efficient, and that's a second area where we could also be interested in acceleration. And the third one is around, I would say, consumer, right? So you mentioned about why we exist. So if there is a startup that is dealing with this, but also not only from the traditional way, but also sustainability, right? And food waste and these kind of things. So not we don't have to think purely from the standpoint of new products, right, or these kind of things, but also other angles. That is something that is interesting for us, and we would be delighted to work with startups in that deal with sustainability, try to kind of improve the planet, the way we live, and help them to kind of be successful.
Okay, so maybe just the last question, because I don't want to overwhelm you with seeing how you feel, and I don't want you to spend more time on that. So maybe just the last question, but it's going to be a little bit related to what you just said, because I can imagine that running such a business like Żabka Future and developing MVPs and trying to be in line with the mission which I just mentioned, which is we create value by simplifying people's lives. You probably would like to somehow attract to Żabka Future talent, startups, and solutions. So if you can just focus our audience of the areas which you are the most interested in. You just mentioned few of them, but if you can just if you can just elaborate a little bit deeper, so they can understand what kind of trends or missions you are trying to achieve right now.
Yeah, I think I've touched upon that in my prior prior question, but I think first of all, I honestly believe that what we're doing in Żabka Future is innovative on a, I would say, on a global scale, and I think it's super exciting to work with Żabka Future, and then it's not only my feeling of that would be not enough, but also if we do surveys of employees, we just finished our Gallup survey, and the results are amazing, right? So people love what they do here, and I think we're hiring a lot of people in different directions, in different areas: technology, business development, product, etc. That's a fantastic place to work. I have to say. Now, from the startup perspective, I mean, I've touched upon a few trends, and what we're trying to achieve over long term is to build a digital ecosystem of different businesses that are consumer related, and I think that requires three things. That requires good products, for the consumer. That requires sustainability. That requires technology and data and AI to be successful. And in all these areas, we're looking for additional kind of avenues of growth and development and cooperation.
Okay, so anyone who's watching us right now, or everyone who's watching us right now and is working in developing good product, keeping this, or just trying to make Żabka sustainable business, or just growing or just developing the data which are available, I understand we are inviting to the, let's say, startup, because we can easily say, Tomasz, that Żabka Future is a startup. You're working in a startup way, very agile, and on very, very innovative areas, right?
Yeah, well, Olga, yes, that's true, and thank you for such a wonderful summary in the discussion that we had.
Thank you very, very much. I wish you a lot of health. I hope you're going to feel much, much better. Crossing my fingers for that. Thank you very much to everyone. It was a pleasure to talk to Tomasz today. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Stay safe.
Ciao.